What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Sacred Giggle podcast. As always, this is your host, Ashish, aka Shishi, aka Might Go Become a Monk. My guest on the show today is an absolute soul sister of mine, Amber Rashid. I met Amber and her brother Sean a couple years ago while doing ayahuasca for the first time in Costa Rica. And we just had this immediate connection, like we are family, like we've known each other in past lifetimes. And I really consider her and her brother Sean to be basically like new siblings that I found in this lifetime. Amber is an incredibly powerful woman and creator. She has extensive experience with plant medicine and is starting her own journey of being a coach, helping people integrate their plant medicine experiences, helping people realize their true nature and live their life in a purposeful and fulfilling way. She has a wealth of wisdom to share. In this podcast, we get into the recent Kambo teacher certification training, or facilitator training rather, that she did to serve that medicine, and also what her plans are for the future, the perils of spiritual bypassing, how we can protect ourselves from that, and a lot of other really juicy stuff. So if you're into self-development, deepening your connection to spirit, to the divine, this is definitely a great podcast conversation to listen to. Without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation with Amber Rashid. And we're live.
Hey.
What's up, Amber?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm good. So I think we should just dive right into what we were talking about before we hit record.
Yeah, about me coming to serve you some Kambo.
Yeah. I woke up today feeling like super sick and weak and have like a chest cough and stuff. And I don't know why, but I feel like maybe it's the universe telling me to slow down or something. And then you generously offered to serve me some Kambo. So for the listeners out there, what is that? And how does that fit into your life?
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Amber. Kambo is, well, it's not the largest frog, but it comes from a frog in Brazil and Peru. It's called a Philomedusa bicolor. That's like its scientific name. And it's the giant monkey tree frog. And this frog, it's really special because it secretes a poison from its back. And they say that's like one of the only few substances in the world that can penetrate the cell membrane, the blood of the cell membrane. And so it's able to extract everything from cancer to, it's really an antifungal and anti-inflammatory, and they say it's like nature's vaccine. So in the 1950s, there was this Italian scientist who won like 2 Nobel Peace Prizes on it. And that's right. It has like 12 of the same like neuropeptides as the human body and the human brain. That's why it's so powerful. They say it's like nature's vaccine, and it comes from this frog from the Amazon, the Matses tribe. They're really big on using this as a medicine, and that's why they're one of the largest surviving indigenous tribes that are around today because of this medicine. And it's a very spiritual, mental, and physical cleansing of your mind, body, and soul. And that's why I was saying I could come dosey, because it's really good, especially if you feel like if you have the flu or something, it really just like completely cleans you out. But yeah, my mom and I recently, we went and did a practitioner's course with Omar Gomez, who founded the Rainforest Healing Center in Peru I'd say about 10 years ago. And he studied with this tribe for about 8 years and like lived with them. And it's funny because the way he is so dedicated, and the way he was explaining it was that he went to the Amazon and he heard about this tribe and he wanted to go study with him. And they're like very warrior like, and they're like very much like hunters. And they didn't really take him seriously at first. So they were like, okay, like you can come with us, be around us, and learn our ways and things. So they just kept serving him Kambo, and then they thought he would just leave and get tired of it. But then when he saw how dedicated he was, they really started to teach him like the traditions and their culture. So yeah, he studied with them, and then he went and built a retreat center, and now he's really just going out in the world and teaching people how to serve this medicine, but in a really traditional way. And yeah, I've done Kambo a few times before, and then recently when I moved back home at the end of last year, I had a real calling to sit with Kambo again just because of like everything that's going on in the world. I just like really wanted like a physical cleansing of like my body, and just somehow I came across this course. It just resonated with me, and I was like, okay, like why not, let me do this. And I told my mom, and she thought I was going for a ceremony, and she wanted to go with me, and I told her like, no, we're gonna go for a course. So yeah, I ended up going with my mom, but it was super healing. I think I'm still processing a lot of stuff. It's truly warrior medicine for me. I feel like I've always been in tune with my feminine side, so it's like, especially in the last year or several months, I'm really learning how to tap into the masculine, and this medicine is like, yeah, it will kick your butt. Yeah, like literally gets to the core and root of the problem, whether it's emotionally, physically, or spiritually. And yeah, and also if you like sit with the medicine, you can have such a beautiful connection. But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I would just want people to understand because I've never done combo, but I've obviously heard a lot from you about it, and I've like done my own research, and I'm honestly kind of scared to do it because I mean, I guess like I've been scared to do every psychedelic before I did it for the first time, but combo specifically, just from what I've heard, it's like you get very sick, right? Like you get physically
mm-hmm.
very sick because it's
Yeah.
basically like a poison. It's like a toxin in your body that's flushing everything out. Do you feel like it's the most demanding psychedelic medicine that you've experienced because of the physicality? Because I know also it doesn't last that long, I think, right?
No. Yeah, no, that's a good question. Honestly, well, I haven't done Iboga. I know you haven't done Iboga either. That
Yeah,
one,
that
honestly,
one scares me.
that one kind of really scares me. But I would say that, yeah, it's one of the most demanding, like physically wise, because it's a very purgative medicine. It's not so much of a psychedelic. So yeah, and like you said, like it's very short. Like the whole ceremony will take around like 1 hour from like start to finish by time like you set your intention, which is super important, which is something that I learned a lot about. Just like, like intention is important in everything, like, but when you're really sitting with the medicine, so because it really helps you direct the medicine. Yeah, the medicine, like by time it goes onto your skin, it's like 20 minutes. So the way they do it is they take a tamashe vine, which comes from the actual tree where the frog sits on, and they make like little burn marks on you just to burn the top layer of your skin so it can get to the lymphatic system. But it doesn't hurt. Like, I don't know. It's just like a pinch. And then they take the medicine, and it's really interesting because what the practitioner will do before applying the medicine to your skin, is that they'll take your saliva and have you spit in a bowl, and then they'll mix it with the medicine. So like your DNA can like get to know the medicine before it even goes on to your body. But once they apply it to your skin, yeah, well, it depends. So, like, the most common places to have it are on your arm, like on your shoulder or on your ankles or on your chest. But really, nobody should really be serving you on your chest unless they have like many years of experience. So I'd say like 8 years of experience. Like my teacher, he's studied with this medicine for like 14 years. And so
Is that because it's just close to your heart or
yeah, it's just closer to your heart. This medicine's really, there's also like contradictions with the medicine. This medicine, they say it's the medicine of the heart. And so, like, if you have any like cardiovascular problems or like heart conditions, also if you have any like severe like mental disorders, they even say if you've been fasting, you shouldn't be fasting within like a week or so before doing the medicine. But they're just like, because it's so close to your heart, you just really want to be able to do it with someone that they know what they're doing. But yeah, you can have a choice, like especially when you're starting on your legs or on your arms. And if you really want to go deep with the medicine, they say go for the ankles, because the ankles are the furthest point in the body that we can shove down emotions, especially like when we're a kid. Like we shove like all those feelings and beliefs and everything down at the bottom. So like if you really want to like go deep with the medicine, suggest doing it on the ankle. But the arms work too. But so the ankles take a little bit longer for the medicine to hit, just because it's like further down in your body. But usually around like 2 minutes, the medicine will start kicking in once it's on, and you'll feel like, yeah, like you'll feel your heartbeat. Like sometimes you might feel like your heart's like pumping out of your chest. Your blood pressure will go up. Your face will get red. You might start sweating. And then like after a few minutes, your blood pressure will drop. And yeah, the main thing is just to like keep up with your breath. Like honestly, it's not a pleasant experience. You might feel like you're dying. And for me, it was like I really noticed my ego was like screaming at me at points, like making up so many excuses, like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this. Take the medicine off. But like there's just points and where you need to be strong and you say thank you, but I don't need you right now, because those are the things. And I think like, your ego really wants you to stay comfortable, and like change is not comfortable, but it's like the most rewarding experience. And when you're going through this experience, yeah, you can purge in so many different ways. It can be from sweating, vomiting, having like maybe you have to go to the bathroom and go have diarrhea. There might be a release of emotions, crying, laughing. The first time, like in my course, when I sat with the medicine, my clothes were like damp. Like I was sweating so much, like sweat drops were coming off of me. But yeah, and they might be shaking, but these like, and everyone purges in like a different way. And it's not necessary. Like there were some times even when I went to ceremony this lesson, like I didn't vomit. So it just like really depends on person. And like every time is like the first time in a different experience. But yeah, after the 20 minutes, like they take the medicine off and you'll like usually rest and you can have like some water, eat some fruit. But then some people like a few hours after like go on with their day. Some people might even have a burst of energy, or some people might feel like really tired. But this medicine, like in the traditionally, they used it also before hunting, because this medicine gives you a lot of stamina and a lot of energy, and also like improves your just like overall health. And it's also interesting they used it for hunting because it's able to mask a human scent so the animals couldn't smell them. Yeah, so this medicine is really powerful. And then they use nunu, which is also known as like rape or hape, and they use that for to like open up their third eye and their visions. There was this really cool book about Kambo. I can send. I don't remember the name. They talked about how they would do Kambo, and then later in the night they would do the nunu, and to open up their vision, and they would do like 15 hits per nostril. And I'm just like, I just did
Jesus.
one round of rapé before, and I was like, oh my god. Yeah, I was like, but they said when they do the nunu, like it literally would open their vision, and they would get like a clear vision for like where the animals were in the forest, how many, where to go. And then like literally after that they would like go out and go hunting. And there was this American guy who wrote this book, and he like talks about his experience being with the Matses. It's very interesting. But this medicine, it's you definitely feel like you're suffering. But the thing is, like what you said earlier, like it makes you sick. But they say like especially before medicine ceremonies, we come in as like being sick. And so the medicine is actually just healing us, and it's just pulling these things out of us so we can get rid of it. And the only way to let go of it is to like go through those emotions and through that like suffering process. But it's 20 minutes, and they say that if you do it 3 times in 28 days in one moon cycle, that it's like you won't get sick for like almost a whole year. And like for sure, when I did the combo the first time, I did it 3 times, and like the last time I got sick was probably a little bit under a year. But it's definitely an immune booster for sure.
Yeah. It's super interesting to hear about your story. And like we met a couple years ago in Costa Rica at an ayahuasca retreat, and your whole family was there, which is like amazing.
Oh my god.
Like your brother Sean and your parents were both there. And I just thought it was so cool that your whole family was doing it together. But I remember like one thing that the shamans there would say a lot was what's coming is going. And that always kind of stuck in my head. Like that's a really powerful way to reframe your suffering, which, as you mentioned, oftentimes is just your ego resisting because it's being threatened or it's being forced into the unknown. And I know, like, I mean, I haven't done combo, obviously, so I haven't experienced the physical suffering. But I remember my third ayahuasca ceremony at a place that we did it. With the third night, I think it was New Year's Eve, and it was like ladies' night. So it was like all female shamans, and I just remember ladies' night, and I just remember just the inside joke there, and I just remember like feeling so physically uncomfortable. Like I felt like for hours too, because it was ayahuasca lasts for 4 to 6 to 8 hours. What felt like a lifetime, just feeling so physically uncomfortable, and like just like there was no escape. Like it was just in my own body. And I remember like that was a very challenging experience. I remember like it was almost like the medicine was forcing me to realize that I'm more than just my body. And like as much pain as I might be feeling, there's an awareness that is calm and peaceful that's watching and observing that pain. And that's a very similar experience I had, not to the same degree of intensity, when I did a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And I remember, like, you're sitting in lotus position for like 10 hours a day. And like by the second day, honestly, by the first day, honestly, your back is just killing you. But you just have to sit there and not move. And I just remember, just there's so much pain, and just learning how to negotiate with that pain is very challenging, but it's so useful for life,
Yeah, dude, 100%. It's like when you do these things, whether it's plant medicine or even doing the Vipassana, what you were saying, like there's no escape. It's like you're gonna sit here and it like really forces yourself to like face yourself. And like, yeah, it's super uncomfortable. I mean, I haven't done a Vipassana, but I mean, I can just speak from the combo, like what I was saying earlier. It's like I have to sit through this physically so uncomfortable. There are points where I like wanted to roll down and go into a ball, and I just had to be like, yeah, my teacher was like, there's no rag dolls here, only warriors. Sit up straight
Wow.
up. I was like, okay. But yeah, the medicine, you just learn so much about yourself. And that's what because, I feel like there's so many forms of escaping in society. Even in school, when you get bored, like, oh, I'm just going to like scroll on my phone or something. But this is, it's like it's just you and yourself. And the thing is, and like what you said, it's just like what's coming, it's going. And it's so true. And you have to go through, I mean, I feel like there's so much also spiritual bypassing that goes on. Really, it's just like that's part of life. I mean, everything is duality as well. Like you have to have the pain and you have to have like the pleasure too. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, and I feel like, because I just did Bufo for the first time a week ago, and that was an insanely powerful experience. And I feel like the duality is something that we are choosing willingly. And once you see it from that perspective, it's it's honestly like a very controversial thing to say and really like wrap your head around, because, it's like, why would we choose to enter into and create a plane of existence where there's war, and like Russia is like bombing the shit out of Ukraine, and like all these terrible injustices are happening. And it's like, I just remember when I was doing the Bufo, something that I had heard from a lot of people was, when you do this medicine, you feel like you die, or like you feel like you go to the place that we go after life. And that was a common thing that I've heard also with ayahuasca. So I was kind of like trying to prepare myself for that as best as I could. But then when I did the medicine, it didn't so much feel like I died. It felt like I realized that I'm already dead. It's not that like I went somewhere else. It's that I just realized my true nature, which is this immortal, lifeless, birthless and deathless expanse of loving awareness that is choosing in each moment to basically like believe in what we call reality. Like it's choosing to go into the illusion. And I remember like when I was coming back, it almost felt like I was putting on a virtual reality headset again, and like being like, okay, time to go back into this like
Matrix.
Completely ridiculous theater that is just like not real at all. Like it's like I felt like I was entering back into a dream that I have chosen to have the duality so that I can experience both sides. Again, it's very controversial to even speak about that, because it's like, of course, the human part of me that's relative and wants good things over bad things and has preferences would never want to willingly choose a world where there's war and all these things. But it's like from the divine perspective, from the awareness of what we are, that duality is like we're choosing to play that game almost like, it almost feels like out of like boredom, because it's just like otherwise you just float around in this divine immortal bliss forever. And it's not even bliss in the way that us in our human minds would want. It's like everything. It's just like, it's like the bliss of like, it's like, I felt like I was experiencing every laugh, every orgasm, every cry that humanity has ever like had in one moment in this timeless space. And it was just so much more than my like human mind could handle. And that surrender was where the bliss was. I would compare it to like, if you take Molly, like you will chemically just feel a lot of like human bliss. But like Bufo, It was just like, no, this is just how things are. And the bliss is in completely surrendering to your preferences of like how things are supposed to be. That is like an incredibly profound experience that, like you said about the bypassing, I feel like can be challenging to integrate back into your life. Because I know like I came back and I was just like looking at all this, like, this is just like, this is like all theater, you know? But then again, like
Dude,
I'm not going to
100%.
just go live on a mountain and bypass it. Like I chose this human experience. So I want to do as much good as I can. So
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. I'm just thinking about my own experience and what you're talking about bliss and like have oneness, but it's not like because I had a similar experience in ayahuasca where I literally had to, my whole thing was about letting go and not being attached to anything. And I was so attached to my body. And then I had to change in perspective where I was like, okay, if I'm going to die anywhere, I'd rather die in ceremony because everyone knows my soul is just transcending. And like, it's like as soon as I had that shift in perspective, like, dude, blasted off into oneness. But like exactly what you're saying, like it was everything. Like I was the chair, like nothing was separate. It was just like everything was just like mushed. And similarly, like when I was coming back down, I was just like, dude, I thought I was gonna be mute, okay? I thought I was never gonna speak again. I was just like gonna go meditate for the rest of my life. And then it's just like when it coming back, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so true. Like I mean, none of this is real, but you know, it's like our souls chose to come back and do the work. And I think that's the beautiful thing about being human is that we do get to experience both sides and we do get to experience emotions. And I think that's also just part of being like a light warrior worker, like here to help raise the vibration and the consciousness of like all the others and brothers and sisters. Cause like yeah, dude, there's just so much healing that I mean, it's so evident in what's like going on in the world and like for everything that's going on in the world, I think it's also like so necessary. Like all these old ways of systems and societies that have just built on a foundation with truly not from love have to like disintegrate before anything can be rebuilt. Yeah, it's just part of the human experience. Like you said, we chose to come back here for our own lessons or our own even for or from past lives or to help generational trauma within our own families and stuff.
I think like even that is like, it's like us as humans describing that. And I feel like from the divine perspective, it's like, it's just for fun. Like, it's like literally just like, which is again, not that obviously from my relative human perspective, war is not fun or bad things are not fun, but it's like from the God's eye view of it, or God is a loaded word, but just from that perspective of unicity and oneness and non-dual awareness, like this ocean that's pretending to be a bunch of waves that are separate. And I feel like I was doing an exercise before this call. I did this thing with my friend Carter, who you know, where every day for the last month, we've been doing this journaling practice and we've been kind of like holding each other accountable. And basically, I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but basically what the practice is you set a timer for 15 minutes at the end of each day and you write down what filled me with enthusiasm today, what drained me of energy today, and what did I learn about myself today. You just free write for 15 minutes. Then when the timer runs out, you don't like try to analyze it. You just like put it down, go do something else. So we did that for a month. And today was the final day. Earlier this morning, I went through for the first time, like went through all my answers, like all my entries from the last month, and basically wrote down like one sentence to sum up like the common threads of each thing. And it's a super powerful exercise because I think it helps whoever's doing it as an individual to understand like their unique, specific things that make them excited as like a guiding light to like, what should I be like doing with my life? Like, what should I be spending my time on? And after the Bufo experience and just like, cause that experience really kind of like what you said, like when I was coming down, I was like, the only thing that matters is like my relationship to God. And like, I was like, I just gotta like rest in the divine for the rest of my life. Like there's like nothing else matters. And like, yeah, but then it's again, like we come back to this, we're choosing, but I think the way that you can integrate those two things, and everybody has a different path. For some people that is what they do and they like go join a monastery or whatever. But where I've landed is like, okay, like I love creating. Like I just love creating things. I love creating music. I love creating moments with people, like meeting new people, I feel like is like a creation in the moment. So how can I do that in a way that is coming from that place of knowing my true nature and then like helping others realize it? Because I used to always think like, oh, your purpose is like your job, or it's like something that you do. And that's why it was always so hard for me to figure out my purpose, because I was always like, well, I like making music, but I also like doing this. Like, which one's my purpose? And now it's like, no, the purpose is just to help wake people up to their true nature. And then depending on the individual, like your conditioning, the way you're raised, like the things that you like, the things that you don't like, there's 7 billion ways to like carry that purpose through. And that's what everybody has to figure out. And I feel like, knowing that my purpose is not tied to something that I do, but it's more tied to just like relaxing into the true nature of myself is very like relaxing. Like it just like I feel like I'm like not rushing to get like a bunch of stuff done as much. Even today, like I'm kind of sick, and there's a part of me that always gets really triggered when I get sick because I'm like, it's like a day wasted, and I'm like I can't be productive. But now I'm just like, this is an opportunity to just like rest in God the whole day and just like be with myself.
I love that so much, and I think it's just, like, surrendering to what comes to you. I, like, it's so funny when you're talking about, like, what is your purpose? Because like, I'm doing this, like, spiritual life coaching course that's, like, helping people find their dharma with Sahara Rose, and, like, I just love it so much because yeah, and she talks about how like necessarily a purpose doesn't have to be one thing. The more you evolve and the more that you grow, your purpose will change and grow and evolve with you. It's just really like surrendering to that present moment and seeing what's coming and not being so attached. And I think that's part of society. And I know like we come from like similar backgrounds, like my dad, like Pakistani and like Indian, and, like, I know for that side of the culture, there's a lot of pressure and, like, at least for, like, from my experience, like, you gotta have this job, you gotta be this and that way, and it's like, no, like, that's, like yeah, everyone has a different purpose, and everyone has a unique way of finding it, whatever that may be, whether and, like, I know like, you have your music and, but some people might have plant medicine, some people might have singing, like, I don't dance, I don't know, but you just gotta find whether resonates with you, and I think it's important for people to know that, like, you don't have to be so attached to even labels. Going back to, like, the divine and oneness, labels are those are just things for the human mind to, like so we can
Right.
wrap things around that don't even
It's so
exist.
ridiculous. It's like once you have that experience, it's just like laughable. It's like so ridiculous. Like I just
I like
remember just being like, what the fuck? This is just like hilarious. Like it's just hilarious.
dude, oh my gosh, yeah, I don't okay, so when we did Wachuma, do you remember sitting there and we were so in the medicine? I was just like looking at you and I was like, dude, what is going on? Like, this is just like, I'm just like, what? And that was a beautiful day. Remember the first ceremony we were sitting with that one indigenous tribe?
Yeah.
And like, I was just like, for me, I was like, dude, the lesson is just to be in the present moment. Like, nothing else matters. Like, it was just honestly, and I know we laugh about this, but it's so true. It's such a reality check, like freaking reality check up to like what is important in life and what matters. And I don't know. Some of those experiences, like I don't think I could ever put into words. I know it's like so profound. Like you just have to experience, and like once you experience it, it's just like it really takes off. Like it feels like takes off a blindfold. Like you just see with a completely different pair of eyes. Because I know sometimes you hear like, oh, go with the flow, or like I don't know, just different things. Everything happens for a reason, and you're just like, yeah, yeah. But for me, when I had my after my first plant medicine ceremony, I was like, "Oh shit, like really life is so simple." Like those simple things are so true. We just make it so complicated.
Yeah, because we have this desire to control, and it's like to really fully surrender and trust that you're taken care of is like so profound because I mean, I think we are taken care of as humans, but it's more just like the truth of what you are is like there's like no threat, there. Like it's like the truth of so that's why like the more you can recognize and rest in that place, the fear you just see fear for what it is, which is like a completely man-made construct. Like I remember with the Bufo coming back and feeling like the only suffering and fear that exists is like in this reality or this plane. Like in the real reality of unicity, it's just there's no one there to be afraid or like to suffer. Like it's just all happening at once. And I think like even just I think we're doing a great job, by the way, but like even trying to describe this with words kind of like is very tricky territory, because kind of like what you're saying with the spiritual bypassing, I think people can get attached to that state of being, or we see this with plant medicine all the time, or even people doing like meditation retreats all the time. And before you know, like you're just creating an attachment to like a version of reality and saying that it's like because you're spiritual. And I think that's just as much of an attachment as to somebody who like only cares about making money, you know, on Wall Street or whatever.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I think that goes back to integration too. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm just speaking from my experience of where I've worked and where I've seen people in like different communities that I've been in. But like, if you don't integrate what you learn, it's really gonna hit you so hard in the face. Like, doing like whether it's going to like a vipassana or doing plant medicine or whatever meditation retreat, like you have in itself is a ceremony, and that's like 40% of the work. The other 60% of the work, or I'd say, is definitely integration, taking the lessons that you've applied and the things that you've learned and the things that you've been shown and applying them to your daily life, because you can't go and like function in this society like, I mean, yeah, maybe you can like meditate all your life and stuff, but if you really want to come back to the society, you're not going to be drinking like plant medicine, for example, every day. And like, yeah, going back to spiritual bypassing, using something just to escape to that different reality that you're creating for yourself. But you have to, integration is just so important, because like all these different modalities and tools will not fix you. They're just a tool to help you understand and learn and evolve and grow. But yeah, I think from what I'm seeing, like especially as like plant medicine, for example, is becoming more and more popular, like integration is something that's lacking, and that I think that could really, even for myself, I think I'd probably be talking more about integration of the stuff that I'm going to be creating, because I've just seen how much importance and that it carries.
Can you share a little bit more about that stuff that you're working on?
So right now I'm doing a life coaching course. I just thought about this the other day about creating like an integration course for people coming out of plant medicine ceremonies. I'm actually going to be working in the Amazon from June to August. And one thing that I really thought would be, well, that was needed is an integration program. Because even myself, like I was looking online and like there's not enough resources about how to integrate your experience. And I think if I could create something to help people integrate their experience after, and I think because I've kind of been involved in this for a little bit, and obviously I'm not like, I don't have all the answers and everything, but just taking from what I've learned and what's worked for me would really be beneficial. Yeah, so that's something that I'm going to be starting, hopefully.
Nice. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question that I don't know if you've heard my other episodes, but I have a question that I ask all my guests. And so I want to ask you. And you don't have to overthink it. It's just like whatever comes to mind. So the
Okay.
question is, what makes you feel the most free?
Oh, dude, honestly, I'm just learning to be, just to be. Like, not trying to be anything else. Just, for me, I feel like something that I'm really working with is like, or that I've really worked through, especially the last week, is like anxiety. So just learning how to be in this present moment is the most freeing thing, because it's like not having or thinking of where I need like 10 steps ahead, or thinking about, oh, what did I do in the past that went wrong, but just honestly learning just to be present. Yeah, and I think that's just what really makes me feel free, because yeah, this is all that we have. And like going back, like life is a joke in some sense. And like just like not learning, I'm honestly the hardest person on myself, and I critique myself so hard. So just learning to like really go back and like connect with my inner child, and just like, yeah, just not to be so serious, and just to be. I think that's for me what's really freeing, and that's what I've especially learned over the last few years.
Preach. Preach. Reality check.
Oh, dude, reality check. I'm gonna make a shirt that says hashtag reality
Oh my God,
check.
with a cactus on the back.
Yeah, with a cactus on.
Or What Human Journey.
Man, oh my gosh. I love you so much, Ashish.
I
Thank you
love you
so
too.
much.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to get an episode for both of our shows. Where can people learn more about you and everything that you're up to?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website at comingbackhome.co, or you can find me on Instagram. And yeah, I don't have Facebook, but you can find me on my Instagram or my website. And I also have a podcast called Coming Back Home. So you can check me out on Spotify or Apple Music or SoundCloud.
Amazing.
Thanks, Ashish. And dude, honestly, I just want to say thank you so much for all that you do. And you're such a light in this world that is needed. And I'm so blessed to have an amazing, really like brother that I don't know, that I can just another support. And if anyone's listening, this guy is amazing. And please follow his music and everything. That he has so much wisdom to share with the world. And I think, yeah, dude, just keep being you.
Thanks so much. Right back at you. Catch you later.
See you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Sacred Giggle podcast with Amber Rashid. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. And if you did, it would mean the world if you could follow, subscribe to the show, and leave us a 5-star review, which will help us get the word out to more people. If you want to learn more about Amber, I've linked to all of her stuff in the show notes, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.